Another FA Cup in the books. The 25-26 season comes to a conclusion. As you can see, Antoine Semenyo was the difference maker as Man City are now crowned 25-26 FA Cup champions. Incredible scenes in terms of what they were able to achieve this year, incredibly individually for Antoine Semenyo. And as you can see, the celebrations in northwest London, no doubt about it, will regurgitate all the way up the motorway to Manchester, and rightfully so, because Manchester City are now crowned the 25-26 champions. Mike Lahoud, Jaydee, Dyer in here. Mike, I think I want to get your initial reaction in terms of looking at that 90 minutes. Did the better team win in your eyes?
Yeah, the better team won. I think the team that probably had more quality on the pitch won, the deeper team won, and the better manager won in this. Callum McFarlane was always going to be up against it, going up against a Pep Guardiola that's now won his 20th trophy with Manchester City, which is incredible thinking of the longevity of his career. But if we're being really honest, it wasn't the best football match to watch. I thought at times the quality was lacking, maybe the decision-making, and really, you look at the amount of minutes that these players are playing in a short amount of time, especially for City. Difference, though, is a difference in the final third. The Manchester City side that has this man and Antoine Semenyo getting the finishing touch.
Incredible looking at his trajectory in terms of where he started, in terms of the youth academy with Bristol City, seeing him go on loan in terms of to the Conference South at the time it was called, and work his way up through the pyramid now to be at the pinnacle of English football. But this word, impact, it feels like it's going to be associated with him for this year overall. What is make him so special in terms of his impact overall?
It's just amazing to see just the flashes you saw with him when he was at Bournemouth. When I watch him play, the thing that probably surprises me and everyone else is killer instinct. There's some things you can't teach in football. Killer instinct is the #1 thing. Just a sense of where to be, where to get that finishing touch, and the goal he scores. He becomes the first ever Ghanaian to score in an FA Cup final. And what a time to be alive if you're in the Semenyo household. I was struck by something he said when he signed with Manchester City. And I remember watching his press conference, and he's a friend of the network. He came on here to talk with us. He said that he went to City to up his level and take his game to the next level. But he also said he went to rewrite history and win trophies. He's doing that. That's 2 trips to Wembley now in cup finals, and he has been the difference maker in both finals, the Carabao Cup against Arsenal, and today he is the difference. He's the reason why we're talking about City, and he's a player that I think a lot of Ghanaians, if you're talking to Ghanaians, and I have Ghanaians in my family, he is Ghana's hope for anything possible at the World Cup.
Yeah, we're going to definitely look forward in terms of the big 2026 that he's going to have. But I do want to take it back to in terms of the way these teams shaped up. I want to give Callum McFarlane his credit. Of course, he's the interim manager stepping in. What's been a difficult situation overall, leading a team as a head coach, had two different spells at it now, and 2 different systems as well. Were you surprised when you saw him shape up with the 5, though, coming into a cup final against Man City?
No, I really wasn't. When he played in his very first match, his debut match at the Etihad, he played with a back 4. But the biggest things, and I talked about this earlier in the week, the biggest inclusions in the 11, Levi Colwill coming back and Reece James coming back. The big reason why those were the 2 players I was looking at is they bring a sense of leadership. Colwill to the back line, a Colwill that I thought was really good at Anfield against Liverpool. His ability to break lines just really reminded me and Chelsea fans what they've been missing for much of the season. On the day as a whole, though, I thought Reece James was poor. You could really see some of the rust that comes with missing the last couple weeks, out with a hamstring injury. But the bigger elephant in the room, where's Cole Palmer gone? Yet again, a disappointing display. Thomas Tuchel up in the stands, and it begs the question, Jaydee, should he go to the World Cup given his poor form this season? He's been a shadow of himself. I know there's just doubt about his health. Is he fully fit? For me, I think that I'm leaning towards Cole Palmer maybe being out of the England squad if he continues down this trajectory.
I would he's trying to get me nice and early in the afternoon. I like this. What I would say in regards to Cole Palmer and his international future in terms of for 2026 and looking forward to the World Cup is what number 10 are you going to take that's in better form? I mean, Morgan Rogers has already established himself. He probably will go. He's one of Thomas Tuchel's favourites. But Jude Bellingham's been out of form. Phil Foden's been out of form. Cole Palmer's also been out of form. So at this moment, you have to pretty much pick a quality over form or confidence because so many of your number 10s in terms of an English shirt have been technically out of form going into it. Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree slightly because Jude Bellingham, when I last checked, did show up for Real Madrid when most of the Real Madrid players have not shown up as of late. He scored only this week. So his confidence is brewing. You can go Morgan Rogers, who put Liverpool to the sword, Morgan Gibbs-White, depending on how that face mask goes on. Eberechi Eze deserves to be in the England squad in that number 10 position. So Cole Palmer, if he's going to be in the England squad, it's potential and what he's done with the national team in previous tournaments. You think of the Euros, more than his current position. I think his position is under fire, and I think it's in jeopardy, and that's just my personal opinion.
That's good. I like that. We're going to definitely pick that back up when it comes to the World Cup coverage. But this team going forward in terms of Chelsea, we'll talk about Pep and his excellence in a second, but what do you want to see from here? Obviously, we've seen the rumours and the reports this week that Xabi Alonso is going to be maybe appointed as the new head coach going forward. Do you feel like this will be a good fit? Is this a group of players for what you want to see next year?
This is a group that needs a massive reset, and there's some players within this Chelsea squad and the larger Chelsea project, the Blue Coat project, that they need to be handed just a vacation slip, because this group looks like they need to go on vacation. Most of these players, a lot of them, I'd say, will be at the World Cup. A lot of their key players, Enzo Fernandez with Argentina. Look, his effort was there. Moises Caicedo, the effort was there. Cole Palmer, I talked about just recently. But it just seems like there's no direction with this Blue Coat project. It seems like they just want to go and buy individual talent with no philosophy. And when I look at the back three and how they suit up, let's remember, Xabi Alonso, should he come in as Chelsea manager, I was just wondering the last two matches, are they building the template for when he takes over with this back three? And then can Xabi Alonso, who has a track record of getting the best out of young players, you think of how he made Florian Wirtz a world-class player, a Florian Wirtz that we'll see at the World Cup with Germany, and a lot of German fans will be hoping he'll take Germany to another level or back to the level they're used to. Xabi Alonso, though, the big question I have, should he take this job with Chelsea, is will he get the freedom to truly implement his style, his philosophy, but also set a culture at Chelsea Football Club? Chelsea is a football club right now. Their culture is damaged. Mm-hmm. And I heard someone use the word broken very recently, and I'm not going to go to that point, but I feel for Chelsea fans because coming into an FA Cup final where the pressure was on for Chelsea, if they win, they get European football. Think from a financial standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, from a mentality standpoint, and just an aesthetic standpoint, how significant that would be to paper over some of the cracks that have been this season. They didn't turn up today. And there were maybe some flash pan moments, 0 shots in the first half. It's not good enough for Chelsea in a cup final that when you go back and look at their run of form against Manchester City, 13 winless, today making it 14 now, just not cutting it for me.
When you look at their remaining fixtures, I mean, Spurs is always going to be one. That's a derby, if people aren't aware, that is sometimes underrated in London. But trust me, the intensity between those two teams, especially with the ramifications for both two teams, is going to be heightened. And then going to Sunderland is always a difficult game at any stage of the season. If Chelsea don't pick up maximum points from this, we could really be talking about Chelsea falling out of the top half of the Premier League. I mean, what does that say in terms of as a headline to finish a season?
It'd be embarrassing. It'd be the laughing stock, or one of the laughing stocks of the Premier League. If I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan, I'm loving this because you only have a couple of days between this match and when they face each other coming up at Stamford Bridge. And there's going to be a sense of bitterness because remember what happened at the Battle of the Bridge when Leicester City and Spurs were going neck and neck? It was Chelsea and Eden Hazard who spoiled the party for Harry Kane and company and Mauricio Pochettino, what could have been a milestone moment for Spurs fans. Now fast forward to this very campaign. Think of just the optimism. I had a lot of optimism and hope for Chelsea after the Club World Cup final. A Chelsea side that I thought could go and win the Premier League in the next maybe 3 seasons. They're nowhere near it. And you had mentioned just the free fall. There's a chance that even after these rounds of games, before they even kick a ball against Tottenham, they could be in 13th place in the Premier League table. Just not good enough, as I said. And it just makes me concerned. The longer Blue Coat's in charge, the more damage and the more suffering Chelsea fans are going to experience.
Let's talk about the narrative at the top of the table as well. That's going to be one that's no doubt about it going to rumble probably to the last day of the season. I want to know, does this win inspire Man City now in terms of for their final couple of games? And what does it say about Pep's legacy also completing the domestic double too?
Yeah, this win is going to continue that momentum. And I really thought about this because I heard some people say, it's an underwhelming FA Cup. It's an FA Cup that maybe doesn't have the shine that we have usually associated with the FA Cup of yesteryears. But if you're City, Pep Guardiola has really put together a winning machine in the turn of the calendar year. And it's because it's getting goals, it's getting performances. outside of players not named Erling Haaland. And now getting this momentum and continued momentum back in, you think of the players that have really stepped up for City. I saw a Manchester City that hit another gear. It wasn't pretty at certain times. I had question marks when I saw the team sheet and I saw Omar Marmoush coming in. He scored in his last 2 matches for City. So I thought, okay, maybe Marmoush will have a part to play. I thought Pep got that wrong in the 11. And then it just showed the fact that City have a depth to go the distance in this Premier League title race. You can't control what's going to happen with Arsenal. You just can't. But if you're Pep, getting result after result, continues to put that momentum in your way and continues to wind up that pressure on your opponents. The big game that's going to decide their title hopes, it's this game at Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium. The Bournemouth side, it's Iraola's last match at home in front of the Cherries fans. It's going to be a bit of a toss-up. But if there's any team that can go there and get the job done, it's Manchester City right now.
Yeah, Bournemouth are in incredible form. One of the best teams across Europe right now in terms of confidence about form. And, of course, you're speaking about their manager's final game. The departure and the emotions that's going to be there in that moment is going to be something that's going to be close to cinema. Aston Villa's not going to be an easy fixture either. But regardless, Pep's legacy is almost cemented in terms of what happens going forward. As the Man City head coach, he's already established himself as one of the best, not just domestically, but probably across the world of football. Someone else's legacy has pretty much been cemented is Mo Salah, who has had some interesting words in terms of his departure. Most recently, he's of course announced that he was going to be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season and moving on to a new challenge. But his recent statement actually maybe opens up the cracks for a couple of more conversations around Liverpool's future. I've witnessed this club go from doubters to believers and from believers to champions. It took hard work and I always did everything I could to help the club get there. Nothing makes me prouder than that. This is the interesting part now. Us crumbling to yet another defeat this season was very painful and not what our fans deserve. I want to see Liverpool go back to being the heavy metal attacking team that opponents fear and back to a team that wins trophies. This is football and I know how to play and that is identity and that of course needs to be recovered and kept for good. But it shouldn't be a negotiable, and everybody at the club should adapt to that. I don't want to read in between the lines because Mo Salah is obviously very outspoken. You've seen some of the things that he said, especially on the outro interviews that he's had and some of the press conferences that he's had as well. But you can see that he's very passionate about what Liverpool means to him. Liverpool will always be a club that means a great deal to me, to my family. I want to see it succeed long after I have moved on. Winning games here is simply more than it should be about. All teams win games, but I think this line at the bottom is the most compelling. And as I've always said, qualifying for next season's Champions League is a bare minimum. And I will do everything I can to make that happen. Like I said, I don't want to read too much in between the lines because Mo Salah has been very outspoken this year about his legacy, what Liverpool means to him, and of course, the legacy he's created in that infamous red shirt. But it does open question marks around the relationship between these two. Now, Arne hasn't been managing it the best, we can say, in terms of moments of resting Mo Salah, taking him out of the starting lineup, giving new players an opportunity to showcase in technically the Salah role. Do you look into this and see that this relationship really was disappointing at stages and probably crumbled towards the end as well?
I don't think there is a relationship between them, and I think Arne Slot at times has probably put on his best poker face since the African Cup of Nations. I want to take you back to before Mohamed Salah went to AFCON, which I thought was the best thing that could have happened to him because he came back and although it wasn't the Mohamed Salah Liverpool fans are used to seeing, I think there was this sense of, okay, I owe it to myself, to my family, and to Liverpool Football Club and the fans to put my best foot forward. And there's been some shaky moments with him, but when it comes to Arne Slot, Mohamed Salah, it just felt like he broke at the seams before going to AFCON when he was getting put on the bench, when he wasn't getting played. And when I looked at him, when I looked at just some of the outbursts, the frustration was getting to another level I've never seen from Mohamed Salah, where he said, put some respect on my name. Look at what I've done for Liverpool Football Club. He's a living legend. He'll have a statue built for him, given what he's done, the trophies he's won for the club, the big moments he's delivered. Arne Slot, I'm going to be fully honest about this, Arne Slot would not be a Premier League champion had it not been for Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah put Liverpool on his back last season and won them that Premier League title and wrote Arne Slot's name into the history books to be a new manager coming into the league and winning the Premier League. The most damning thing, and I know that we're not here to read between the lines, but we're here to read facts and statements made. The most damning thing that I see him say is that it's your job to come into Liverpool Football Club and adapt to this standard that's been kept up long before you've gotten here. For me, that's not a message sent to Florian Wirtz. It's not a message sent to Alexander Isak or any of the new signings. It's a reminder to the manager that Liverpool was here before you. It'll be here long after you're gone. And maybe, Jaydee, that time is coming quicker and sooner than Arne Slot and Liverpool fans maybe think. Right now, Arne Slot, there's a massive disconnect between him and Liverpool fans. You heard the boos, not once, not twice, not thrice, maybe 4 times. I think we're on the cusp of seeing Slot out.
It's a very difficult situation because, no doubt about it, the expectations and the standards that he set for himself last year, Arne Slot, in coming in your debut season, of course, winning a Premier League trophy, then becomes what people compare you to. So you become almost a comparison to yourself. The drop-off this year is nothing you want to see from any defending champions. However, this narrative and this conversation is going to be one that's going to grumble on, because I always say within every changing room or locker room, you need to manage certain egos. And legends and captains are those at the top of the list, because they need to feel empowered, they need to feel understood, and they need to feel respected within that situation to understand if a football club, and especially what you want to achieve going forward. I do believe that this has become a bigger conversation now around his future because of the sheer fact of Salah saying this on his departure, which isn't necessarily needed, but he feels like he wants to say it, which then adds problems in terms of speculation around the summer, the direction of the football club, and more importantly, as you alluded to, Mike, the future of Arne Slot as the head coach. It does open up so many words of conversation, but we do want to make sure that the headline, the most important headline today, is that Man City are crowned the FA Cup champions. So congratulations to them, congratulations to the women's team as well, who were able to achieve WSL, and even the youth team. So I guess it's the trifecta down from the Sky Blues.